Hey guys, let's see here. It's 8:28. So let me go ahead and jump on over here, open this guy up, and welcome aboard for anyone who's out there. Let's see what we got. I gotta turn that down. There we go. I gotta open up the chats. Let's see. Waiting for the chat to open up here. Ooh, hot. Ooh, man. Ooh. Just got back from basketball. One of my kids doing basketball. So where is the chat? I gotta look. Let's see. There we go. Cool. All right. There we go. All right. Not sure if we're gonna have a big crowd. Hey, Cindy. Not sure we're gonna have a big crowd tonight, but we shall see. I didn't really. Hey, Sacred Hills. Where's Sacred Hills at? And Cindy B, where are you coming from? And can y'all hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up too if you can hear me okay. Ooh, that's hot, man. Got the mic on there. Yeah, okay. Looks like the mic's on. All right, cool. Grapevine, Texas, right on. All right. That's all right, right on, Cindy. Is that okay? Is Grapevine, Texas, South Texas? We're Fall River, Massachusetts. Where's Grapevine, Texas, Cindy? Rainy, Pennsylvania. Marie, hey. Mike is good, right on, right on. Hey. Joseph Cruteau, you gotta be calling from a French Canadian, I'm thinking, right, Joseph? That's a French Canadian name. DFW. Okay, Cindy, right on. Corey Grimm in Illinois. Well, let me tell you right now, here in Georgia, and we'll get cracking here in just a second. It is. Look at that. 66 degrees, man. 66. And tomorrow it's gonna be 77. Ooh, that's nice. That's where I was born and raised right there. Peaks Island, Maine, 31 degrees, snowing right there. 66 degrees. North Carolina, Jeff, right on, man. All right. Tempe, Arizona. I've been there. Tempe. We used to live on 7th Street in Beardsley, Yoli. We bought our first house in Phoenix, going on 7th Street in Beardsley. And now that's where they put that 101. And apparently there's even an outer loop in Phoenix. It's nuts. My brother used to live in Tempe when he was going to ASU. That's just getting crazy out there. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all being here. I don't really have my agenda tonight is, frankly, I'm going to share with you how I'm going to open up the financial planning software, and you all can do with it what you want. But essentially, like I said yesterday in my video, Tennessee, where you coming from? Newton, Iowa. I'm not familiar. Tony Clark, where in Tennessee? You don't have to say a specific town if you don't want, but east, central, or west. Anyway, so I need to get focused on these books I want to write, and I got a bunch of videos I need to do. So I'm gonna refrain from taking on any more clients for a few months. But what I was going to do is I'm going to open up the financial planning software. I'll charge you $150 if you want it, and you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, it's completely up to you. And then what will happen is at some point in the future, all right, Southern Middle Tennessee, right on. Cincinnati, Ohio, Tim. Loudon, Tennessee. You know where that is, Tony? Loudon, Tennessee. What was I saying? Oh, and then at some point in the future, if you do sign up for the software, Monterey, California, man, I was a TSP guy. Right on, Chris. Yeah, right on. Good to have you on board. Monterey, California. Is that didn't they used to have the language? I forgot what the language school is out there, Monterey. Some kind of language institute, DLA or something like that. For the military, we had a guy in my unit when I was in the Army who, right on, Sammy, who went to, I think it's Monterey, California for the language school that's out there or something like that. DLI, that's what it was. Yep. And that guy's a smart guy, man. Woo-wee. I was like, man. Anyway, so the issue is I want to open up the financial planning software for anyone who wants it. And what you do is just email me. I need your email, your first name and your state. All right. So you email your first name and state, and then I'll send you a PayPal thing, and I'll get in for $150. I'll get you set up, and then you can go on the software, do whatever you want. I don't have the time to answer individual questions on how the software works. You just have to figure it out yourself. I will offer, videos like I probably won't get into it tonight just because you might not be interested, but I will offer videos on how to set things up as we go forward for sure, for those of you who are interested, and those of you who might be interested in the future. I'm thinking, say 3 months time or something like that, I might re-engage in offering financial planning. Then if you're in the software and you want to have me look at what you have, I'll probably charge you $500 or so. I literally don't know, $1 million, and we'll go over at that point. But I thought it'd be pretty cool to get the software out there. If I had enough requests that people are interested in it, like my man Corey here and a couple other people say, yeah, I'd like to have access to the software, and by all means do so. Again, I won't answer individual questions on that. I know that sounds cocky and arrogant. I simply don't have the time. I don't, and I don't want to do that. But we'll get some videos where we kind of go over, and you can ask questions at that point. And look, it's completely, as you can see, formal. I'm so formal. See that you see behind me over my shoulder, my right shoulder there. That's my vacuum cleaner. That's how formal you're dealing with old Josh here, my friends. This is nothing but formality. And so what will happen, I'm thinking a few months maybe, is that we'll say, hey, I'll be we can start doing the financial planning. We can look at your stuff that you have and go from there. But I don't know exactly if I'll do that, how that will shake out. And if you are interested in a financial planning software, the right capital, I just can't guarantee you that I'm going to keep up to it. I just don't know. I like it. I mean, it's my favorite financial planning software by all, that there is. But if they start going the route of like a Patreon or something where they're being stupid, I can't obligate myself for the rest of my life to use those guys, just simply because I don't know. But I mean, I love it. I'm a huge fan of Right Capital software. I don't think I don't have anything here, and I'll use a lot of Right Capital software stuff in my next book as well. So anyway, so if that's of interest, let me know. Just send me an email. Send me your first name, your email address, and your state that you live. If you're married, send me the name of, you don't even have to send me the name of your spouse. Just let me know if you're married. So if it's Josh and Charlotte, live in Georgia, and our email is, 123 Tom Brady rules or something like that. So just right on, Jeff. So if that's all I need, and then I'll send you the PayPal thing. The minute you send me that $150 back, I'll get you set up easy as pie, and then you're ready to rock and roll. A couple things just before you, and I'm not going to give refunds. I just simply don't have just be advised, don't do it if you don't want to. The premise would be in the future, you might want to engage in financial planning at some point, and this would be a good way to do that to start the process. Secondly, what was I going to say? Oh, there's a couple of drawbacks about Right Capital. The estate planning stuff is not as good. There's another software called eMoney. eMoney is fantastic on estate planning. Nothing comes close to eMoney on estate planning. Frankly, I haven't found anything that comes close to Right Capital on tax planning. But for estate planning, if that's your big thing, I don't think Right Capital's for you. It'd be eMoney. eMoney's awesome in that regard. And they call me, man. They must call me every day. It's nuts. I get calls from eMoney, not every day, but all the time. But anyway, so if estate planning is your big thing, Right Capital's not for you. You can't change your allocation in the future. You can change it. What I mean by that, I had one lady, and she was upset by the software because she goes, I want to adjust my allocation 10 years down the road. And you can't. It doesn't let you do that. And so just be advised. And I don't know any software that does, actually. I mean, they have these software that gives you like a gliding path. And I presume if you want to have that like a gliding path, you'd put like the Vanguard Life, one of those target retirement funds or something like that. I will be doing generic setup videos regarding the software, Tracy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will. I guess this is the issue. I don't want to be obligated to that. Yes, I will do some generic videos on the software. But it probably won't be that much. I don't want to encourage people to use the software thinking I'm going to walk them through step by step. But I've had enough people who are interested in it that I want to give it to them for that. But I want to be as far removed from it as possible, if that makes sense. So just be advised. I mean, if you need someone, and I'm not saying to you specifically, Tracy, but if you need someone to like kind of walk you through and hold your hand on that, I don't want to do that. I just don't. And I've been in financial planning software a lot, where you have lots and lots of questions that get real knee deep in the weeds. And I don't know. I think the general population, would have to choose if that's what you want to do. But if it is what you want to do and you're willing, like, my man Corey, I mean, he's the one who introduced me to not Right Capital. It's Personal Capital. If you're pretty comfortable with, kind of running those software programs, I think Right Capital is pretty easy. It does take a little bit of time. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, it took me about a month to get used to it. But there is a couple of issues. One is that you can't change the investments over time. It just is stagnant or static. So just be advised. I mean, if you're going to put the investments in today as an aggressive investor, that one plan you run will be an aggressive investor for the life of the loan. If you're going to put a life of the loan, a life of the software, so that way you'd have to change it back to a conservative investor or something like that. You can go down there on the button that says asset allocation, and I will do an introduction on this, but you see my other videos too, where you can change the asset allocation for the proposed plan. So there'll be two circles. One is for it'll say current allocation, and so let's just say you're a Vanguard, total stock index fund. Your current allocation will be 100% stocks, and then next to that will be proposed allocation, and you can change the asset allocation on that proposed. You can't do a specific to Vanguard versus Fidelity versus USA, but you can do a specific, hey, Becky, you can do it specifically to, conservative stocks, bonds, middle. I mean, there's like 8 different categories. I got one for total US stocks. I got one for total bonds. I got conservative, like 20-80, 40-60, 50-50, and those kind of things. So you can change it for proposed. You just can't change it. I want to be aggressive now, then 10 years out, I want to be conservative, then 20 years from then, I want to be aggressive. It doesn't let you do that. Look, I don't know any software that does. So I'm not saying Right Capital is deficient in that. I don't know. And that doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just is what I know. So I'll open that up, and I'll do some videos on how to set it up for sure. Maybe I'll do that live. But if you do, we'll see. I'll definitely do videos on it. Don't get me wrong, Tracy. The issue is if I don't do it live, and you come across it and you have a question on that, put in the note in the questions. I answer the questions on this stuff for sure. I mean, I do. I just don't want a bunch of emails. I get a lot of emails as it is. I just don't want a bunch of emails coming to me like, hey, how do I do? I can't. I just won't do that. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I'm trying to do it for the folks who want the software, but I'm also trying to say I have a tendency to get focus on something that's not what I'm trying to accomplish, which is what I'm trying to accomplish is get more of these books out there, more of my podcasts out there, and more videos. So anyway, I'll get that out there. You email me at josh@heritagewealthplanning.com. Let me know, and it will get rolling. And again, we'll see how things shake out. It's really no big deal. But I think you'll like the software. I mean, I love Right Capital. I think they're adding stuff all the time. The software is actually done. My man Jeff, who's commenting on here, he's a software developer, so he knows what the heck's going on. And if Jeff speaks highly of it, then I'm pretty fond of it. The folks who do Right Capital actually were financial advisors, which I like a lot. So they're not tech guys who happen to see an opportunity in financial advisory. They're financial advisories who saw the deficiency in tech. And again, eMoney was the only game in town, and then Fidelity bought eMoney. And if you think there's not some conflict of interest there, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but I just Marlton, New Jersey, man. Marlton, we used to live in Haddonfield, and we'd go through Marlton, I think, right? Marlton to go to the beach. Hey, real quick, if you haven't been to New Jersey beaches, man, Long Beach Island, oh my goodness, it is beautiful. I love Long Beach Island. I could live there, other than the fact you can't own firearms and they tax you to death, so we won't live there. But Long Beach Island for beach day is fantastic. Anyway, long story short, what was I saying? Hold on a second, I'm going to sneeze, I think. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Saying something about the software. I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, so that's it. All right. Thoughts, questions, you don't have anything that you all want to talk about, by all means, you sent me an email. Yeah, right on, Scott. Gotcha. I got your email. Yep. Let's see. What are some of the other questions I had? We'll just go through some that are, and by all means, throw them out there if you have anything. I mean, I didn't really make this. All right, so here's a question I got on the gift tax thing. We'll just start with this. Let's say I give my son $12K and I write him a check and he deposits it into his account. Does the bank report that amount to the IRS? Says a guy on my gift tax video. I mean, if you're talking about the $10,000 thing, where if you go to the bank, you take out $10,000, and there's a term they use for that in the bank. I forgot what it was. Where you're taking out $10,000 or more in cash. You have to fill this form. They're not going to report it to the IRS any more different than they're going to report any money that goes in. I mean, I guess they reported 10. I don't know how I mean, the bank's not going to say, hey, David, you had given little Joey a check for $10,000, which you deposit in his bank account. We're going to report that to the IRS. Nah, I mean, trust me, if the IRS wants you, they're going to get you, man. It's not going to be that $12,000 check that does. Now, in terms of if he wants to withdraw $12,000 of cash, yeah, it's a CTR, something transaction report. I forgot what the C stands for. So the answer is, if you're going to do that, yes, it's not subject to gift tax. All right, so if you have a 401k plan at work, 50-50 pre-tax with Roth, because when I learned about how Roth, I changed how money went in. How can you separate buying bonds on the pre-tax side and stocks on the Roth side? Yeah, is that what it is, Scott? Cash transaction report, CTR? It would make sense. Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. So this guy asked me, basically, he's got a 50 and the 50 in the Roth. His money is going in to the Roth side, and his employers are going into the pre-tax side. I'm just trying to think, when I was at USA, if you could differentiate between the Roth side investments and the pre-tax side investments. I just don't remember. This is in reference to the video I did earlier today on how to reduce investment taxes, where you want your bonds in your traditional /401k and your stocks and your Roth. And actually, pretty good question. And so the answer is, guys, John, I don't know. I think it's probably specific to your plan. Does your plan allow you to say, in my Roth, I want stocks; in my traditional, I want bonds? I don't know. That's really a good question. I got to tell you, I think it would be plan specific. Let's see. I had a good question. This guy said, if I give child 5 acres, is this still a gift tax? Actually, I want to talk about this brought me a couple good questions. And my man, 2 things on the gift tax stuff too, by the way, is that if you're, man, for the love of me, please, 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 please do not name your kid on the deed of your home. Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you how many people do this. So Granny Smith says, I want, Missy to be able to get my house when I die without having to go through probate. So I'm going to name her on the deed. That's a gift. You've made a gift to Missy. I mean, that is it's not, you're not going to pay tax on it. I'm telling you right now, unless Granny has given away more than $11 million, but you have gifted a half of the house to Missy. And I mean, now she owns it just as much as you do, Granny. Don't do that. And on top of that, I just telling you, yes, she's on a deed, joint tenants rights of survivorship. It is plan specific. All right, real quick, I promise I'll get back to what I was just saying. CB, my man CB, we got 2 CBs in here, one from California, one from Michigan. And they're going to fight to see who's a CB who gets to keep the CB title. Actually, both wonderful human beings. But so CB says if it is plan specific on what the guy just asked about, if he could take his money and focus specifically on the Roth where to invest and focus specifically on the traditional. So that's good. I did not know that. Good job, CB. All right. So Granny Smith says, all right, Missy, I want you to have access to my home if I die without having to go through probate. And now I'm going to name you as joint owner of my home. Well, that's a gift. That is 100% a gift. And what do we know about gifts is that at the death of Granny Smith, Missy's going to inherit only half the property with the step up in basis. So if Missy wanted to sell the home, all right, later on, so Granny dies and Missy says, I don't want to live in grandma's home. I get bad memories and all this stuff. Then Missy is going to literally have to pay a capital gains tax potentially if she were to sell that house, because she doesn't get the whole thing as a step up in basis. Now, there are things when it comes to $250,000 exclusion on capital gains for homes, and I get all that. But just tell me, don't do that. Secondly, oh my goodness, don't forget too. Let's say you have a guy that's just not up to good stuff, and you add him, your little nephew Johnny. You're like, Johnny, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. Yeah, you can sell the house to Missy for $1. Absolutely, Jeff. You certainly could do that. But then the problem with that is Missy owns it, and I'm telling you, she could put you out. I know that sounds evil. I'll do a video on one of these things on beneficiary designations because there's a bunch of law cases about beneficiary designations which just went completely awry, that really screwed people over big time, just because people are either ignorant or negligent, or they trusted people they ought not to have. So Missy could, if she could put her out. I mean, there's no other way around. And look, I'm a financial planners are a paranoid bunch, my friends. So if Granny Smith sells the house to Missy for $1, Missy owns it for $1. I mean, is it a gift? Yes. Does it matter? Probably not, because she hasn't given over $11 million. Could the IRS come back and say, look, that's a gift, not a sale? Who knows? I mean, estate planning attorney, enterprising estate planning attorney would probably be able to eat that alive. But at the end of the day, it's probably not a big deal, because $11 million would get tax exemptions anyway. But now that Missy owns the property, all right, she will be the owner of it. And now Missy can say, hey, Grandma, you got to go. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, there's some crazy people out there for sure. So how about this? What if you add little Johnny on there? Johnny owns half the house now. Now Johnny's running freaking drugs out of there. I mean, have you ever heard of civil forfeiture laws? And Tennessee is I love the state of Tennessee, but civil forfeiture laws are wrong, and it's just all through there. So if little Johnny is selling dope out of the house, what can the county do? What can the sheriff's department do? I mean, I don't know. I know we got some folks on here who are Leos, and I don't know the answer to that, but I do civil asset forfeiture laws are not good, and that would open up an opportunity for Granny to lose her home too, without question. I mean, because drugs are being sold there. Granny didn't know, that's what she'll say. But so just don't do it. You own the home. You own the home. You own the home. Keep your home on there. Secondly, if you have an investment account, I talked about earlier today about the cost basis. Do not gift a investment account to somebody, because you're transferring the cost basis. It doesn't make any sense to do that. And secondly, do not add a joint owner on the investment account too for an easy of estate planning purpose. I cannot tell you how. Granny Smith, Josh, I want to make sure Missy doesn't have to go through probate, so I have this stock of what is called Apple. Have you ever heard of Apple? It's worth $800,000, and I bought it for $20 in 1997. So I got Apple stock, and I just want to make sure Missy doesn't have to go to probate, so I added her name to the account. Oh, don't do that. You've made a gift to Missy, and now Missy will inherit half the stock with a step up in basis, and the other half will carry over for her own cost basis. Don't do that. And on top of that, don't forget, when it comes to joint ownership, is that the first person who gets the bank can wipe out the account. That's just a fact. We used to say that in banking all the time. You and your spouse get divorced or go through a hard time. Whoever gets the bank gets the money. That's all there is to it. We can't tell you can't have access to your own money. Well, I own it with my spouse, or I own it with little Johnny. It doesn't matter. It's your money just as much as it is. Whoever gets the bank first, let's just say Missy's up to no good, or little Johnny, whoever gets the bank first. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, I've seen this happen so many times. Even worse, I've seen Granny co-sign for a loan for little Johnny, and then little Johnny doesn't pay it back. And we got to call freaking the credit agencies and the repo man to go to Granny's house. And Granny, this back a long time ago when I used to be in banking doing personal and car loans, long time ago. And Granny would come in there flipping mad and say, why do you, blah, blah, blah. I said, look, Johnny hasn't paid it. And she goes, yeah. And then she'd have to take a loan. She'd do a home equity loan to get the money to pay off the car. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm not saying don't trust your kids or grandkids. I'm just saying there are some kids and grandkids out there that are looking to take advantage of people. And I'm just telling you too, on top of that, this is going to sound bad, but heroin and fentanyl, and I don't know about cocaine or anything, but these are addictive drugs that will ruin people and make zombies out of them, which they don't care about the relationship with you. They care about the relationship with getting a fix. Just like a zombie just wants to eat brains. A guy addicted to heroin does not care about Granny Smith. He doesn't. The guy addicted to heroin wants his next fix. And if it turns out that was little Johnny, he's going to get it, and he's going to get it from you. And look, I am the most sympathetic people to heroin or to abusers as there is. I have nothing but sympathy, but that doesn't mean Granny Smith needs to put her hard-earned wealth and her retirement fortune at stake because she only saw the best of little Johnny when he was playing Little League Baseball, and now he's a zombie. You can't have that. Don't add someone's name to your accounts. Don't do it. If for a bank account or investment account, you want to do a POD, a payable on death, or a transfer on death. That will avoid probate. So it's just say, I'm dead. My wife's got her 4 kids, and she's YouTube is paying me millions of dollars a year, and my wife is living large as possible, and she names one of my kids on one of the accounts to avoid probate. It's just it's stupid. Don't do that. All she does is an investment account. She calls up Vanguard or Fidelity, whoever, and names it as a TOD, a transfer on death, that will avoid probate. It just goes directly. It's a beneficiary account for a taxable account. A bank account is a POD, payable on death. The same thing happens there. So do not add a name to an account, especially a taxable account. I get this all the time too. Can I add my my kid's name to my IRA? No, the IRAs are individual accounts. 401k are individuals. Well, what happens if I'm incapacitated? Well, that's where the durable power of attorney comes in. The durable power of attorney is, you can't add somebody to your retirement accounts. As durable power of attorney is the only way that someone can act on your behalf if you're incapacitated. A beneficiary is when you die, all right? Incapacitation is a durable power of attorney. All right, so let's see here. Oh, reference. All right, so how about okay, hold on a second. How about a living trust? So Jimmy says, Jimmy H Investing. I forgot. I don't see what the question is, Jimmy H. Rather family fortune. Yeah, how about a living trust? Go back and what was the question? I don't know what your I yakily asked that question for sure. Jeff says, as reference the 5-acre guy, instead of giving 5 acres to your child, sell for $1. Yeah, I don't know, Jeff, how that works. I'm certainly not an attorney. I don't know how that worked relative to what the IRS would say relative to gift. I don't know. I just know the IRS is always one step ahead. Let's just put it that way. So the IRS, it's going back to S corporations, where the primary guy is giving himself a dividend as opposed to salary. IRS knows that a mile away. I'm telling you, man, I cannot tell you how many small business guys out there are so smart. I'm giving myself a dividend, not a salary. You think the IRS doesn't know that? Come on. The IRS has seen it all before. So if you're trying to avoid the potential for gift tax by selling it for a buck, my inclination is that the IRS has a thing about that. I just don't know what it is. Living trust is when a lawyer controls where the money is invested. I don't get that. That's not a living trust, my man. My wife's mom did that with $50K of rising stock right before CB. That's sad. So CB says, my wife's mom did that with $50K right before she died. She named one of her, CB's wife as a joint owner in the account. She dies, and the wife only inherits half of it with a step up in basis. That's not what we're trying to accomplish. I should put my wife as a beneficiary of my investment account. Chris Johnson. Let's just put it this way. Yes, but I don't know the relationship between you and she, so my assumption is pretty good. So the answer is yes, absolutely. All I know is my wife is my durable power of attorney right now. My wife, everything I got, she's got. Everything she's got, I got. If I don't know, it's a implicit trust in that. So she's a beneficiary of my accounts. She's my durable power of attorney. She could literally go in there and wipe me out if she wanted to right now. Trust me, man, there ain't much to wipe out anymore. But she could do that if she wanted to. She could easily do that. I could do the same. There's no other way around that. But if you're making the beneficiary on an investment account, that means when you die, your spouse gets it. In your case, given that it's your spouse, I might reconsider just make her maybe potentially a joint owner as opposed to beneficiary. Now, be careful now. I'm not giving legal advice. Changing ownership structure is a legal advice, and I'm just not giving that. However, if I had an individual account that's outside an IRA, just good old-fashioned brokerage account, well, I doggone and name my wife as a joint owner in that. Absolutely. I want her to be able to get it. She will get it with a portion of the step up in basis. If we live in a common law state, which is Georgia, if you live in one of the West Coast states, it's community property, she'll get it with the entirety of step up. And again, I want to get too, I don't think I have it back there. I don't want to get too deep in that, but just remember at the end of the day, if you do name your wife as a joint owner, that is a gift, but it's an unlimited spousal exemption for gifts. The only thing you're doing at that stage is that you're reducing her ability potentially to get a step up in basis, because essentially she will step up half of the basis and you will, and then she'll retain the other half. So that would be, again, where durable power of attorney comes in to help you in your incapacity, or a TOD at your death, it'll transfer automatically. But the answer to your question, should I name my beneficiary as my spouse? I 100% agree with that. Real quick on durable power of attorney, I just got to state very clear. Up in Tennessee is about an hour and a half north of us, Chattanooga. I don't know why the attorneys up there draw durable power. I've seen probably 15 estate plans up there, and they all had durable power of attorneys with 2 docs needing to sign off on. I said this, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. I'd never understood that. And again, I'll never challenge attorney, but I always wonder why. Why would you do that? Why would you make Charlotte need to go through 2 docs to sign off to essentially attest that old Josh is incapacitated before she has access to my money? I just don't understand that. In my book, Strategic Money Planning, right here, I talk about that, as a matter of fact, in one of my chapters, my last chapter, Durable Powers of Attorney and Guardianship. I talked about that. I don't understand the premise of making a spouse whose husband or wife is incapacitated need to go 2 doctors to sign off before they attest that you're incapacitated. That doesn't make any sense to me. All right. So let's see. Keep going. I see you, Sailor. Yep. We'll get, you just give written direction in your sentence here. We're working. Yeah. What's the difference between a durable power of attorney and just a power of attorney? All right. So Marie says durable power of attorney and a power of attorney. A durable power of attorney, what it means, it survives incapacity, Marie. All right. A power of attorney stops at incapacity. And incapacity is, you got Alzheimer's, you're up in the hospital because you broke your, it could be anything, any situation that I cannot act on my own affairs. It doesn't have to be necessarily physical. It could be anything that says I cannot act on my affairs for whatever reason. A durable power of attorney, Marie, survives that, which means my spouse can still act on my behalf even though I'm incapacitated. A regular general power of attorney, it stops at incapacity. It says my wife or whoever can act on my behalf now, but the minute I'm incapacitated, they can't. It does not survive incapacity. And so while I'm in good shape, I don't care about that. I don't care about her ability to act on my behalf because I can do it myself. But what the nice thing is, a durable power of attorney, if you have it drawn up correctly, you'll say, not only can my wife act on my behalf once I'm incapacitated, but I give her the privilege or the right or the obligation, however she looks at it, to act on it right now. Does that make sense? So in my opinion, a good durable power of attorney says Charlotte can act on my behalf. Literally, she could be out there right now taking care of all my stuff right now as I'm doing this, and that's fine. And if I just all of a sudden, I have a stroke because I'm, spewing so much hot air, she could still act on my behalf with that durable power of attorney because it is in effect immediately, not when a doctor attests by a signed document that's got to be notarized that I'm incapacitated. Man, we don't want that. We want it so it's effective today. Just a general power of attorney is effective today, but it stops once I'm incapacitated. The second question, well, how will the vanguards of the USA, the custodians, whoever holds your financial instruments, how would they know you're incapacitated? They don't, but trust me, they're going to be very, very careful before they start releasing money to Charlotte, calling on my behalf, saying I'm incapacitated, because Vanguard knows that ultimately they're the custodian. They represent me. They can't just start giving away money to just any Joe Schmo, a Nigerian prince who calls. They got to make sure it's legit. And if it's not legit and they give the money away, there's absolutely a lawsuit liable to them because they didn't take advantage of their custodian to me. Secondly, you have a springing power of attorney, which it springs into action when you're incapacitated. That's fine. Absolutely. So you got your general power of attorney, you got your durable power of attorney, and you got your springing power of attorney, which only comes into being once you're incapacitated. Lastly, you got a limited power of attorney. Like my mom, when she moved from Maine to Virginia, I signed for her home under a limited power of attorney. The closing documents when she bought her home in the Shenandoah Valley, I signed for that, a limited power of attorney for just that one transaction. So my mom granted me the authority to sign on her behalf as a limited power of attorney. Once that one transaction was gone, the thing was no longer in existence. Isn't a trust where the lawyers? Okay, so my man Sailor says, isn't it a trust where a lawyer controls it? No. So there are 2 kinds of trust, and the first one is a living trust, a revocable living trust, an inter vivos trust. RLT. These are all, so old Josh has a living trust. All right. So I am the grantor. So I'm granting the property into the trust. All right. So I'm saying, hey, Josh, own this, but I don't want to own it anymore. I want the trust to own it. And so here's the property. I'm going to grant the property into the trust. So now the trust owns the property. I don't own it anymore. The trust owns it. But I'm the trustee. All right. So I still control it. So from an IRS perspective, nothing has changed from a tax consequence, from estate planning. Nothing has changed. I mean, I don't literally own it anymore. The trust owns it. But because I am the trustee and control it, is still essentially, I haven't made a gift, because a gift is when you say I have relinquished any ability to control a property. That is a gift. I haven't made a gift to my trust. I've only said, I've only retitled is really what it is. I've only retitled to make the owner of the trust, the owner of the trust. And I'm the trustee. I'm the grantor. I'm the person who grants the property, and I'm the trustee and the person who controls it. So if this property yields an income, it flows back to my 1040. All right. So they're a living trust is taxed no differently than me. It comes back to me. Now, the benefit of a living trust is really only a couple of benefits. One is private. So it's literally, just remember, a will is a public proving. I mean, a probate is a public proving of your will. Probate is public proving of your will, which means that literally you could go down there and see who was Aretha Franklin. She didn't have a will. So we all knew who, I mean, she didn't have a will. So we had to go through probate. We could all figure out who got what. I mean, that's just a fact. So it's that even though she didn't have a will, there's still a probate how to get involved to decide who gets her assets. A trust is private. All right. So I grant a property to my trust, and it doesn't go through probate. So it's not public. There's nothing public involved in that whatsoever. So that's one of the benefits of a trust. Second benefit is that it takes care of incapacity. Again, a durable power of attorney can take care of incapacity as well. But it does take care of incapacity, but then it also can take care of the arrangements of how my assets are being managed at my death. And that's if that's a big deal, and we got some folks on here, it is a big deal for them. Who's going to manage their financial assets at their death? Because maybe their kids are going to not do what they wanted them to do with it. And they want to make sure their kids don't sniff it up their nose or give it to some loser and something like that. They want to make sure that their hard-earned money stays according to what their plan was, which was, I don't want to see them blown away. And so now they got to name a trustee. And that trustee can be, it can be anybody. It could be Uncle Grandpa. The trustee could be the lawyer down the street. It could be a corporate trustee from the bank. It could be anybody. It could be anybody, the trustee. The trustee, if you're named as a family member, I'm telling you, just be careful, because those trustees, I'm telling you right now, personal experience, trustees managing money for somebody. All right. The person that trustees managing money for isn't good at managing money, him or herself, but that person wants that money. And the person feels very offended that said person wasn't entrusted to be able to manage the money, even though for 70 years that person's shown that he or she could not manage the money. So the trustee gets calls repeatedly from the beneficiary saying, I want that money. It's not fair, blah, blah, blah. And the trustee says, man, enough. I don't want to deal with this crap. It's not worth it. And that's the drawback about being a trustee, is that if there is a family dynamic that is not good, and you're the trustee, and you have to basically, it's up to you as a trustee to determine when that person gets assets. I tell you, it's not fun. So that's how a living trust works. So living trust, I own it, I control it. One thing I do have to point out, remember, a living trust, which is revocable, that's why it's called revocable living trust, becomes irrevocable at death. And so if you have an old trust set up from, Ronald Reagan's first term, and you're on whatever, at your death, guess what, my friends? That trust is irrevocable. It cannot be changed. I'm just telling you, it can't. I mean, can there be some circumstances where irrevocable trust been? Sure, absolutely. But if you have a living trust set up from a while back, or things have changed dramatically, and you haven't updated your living trust, it's the wrong answer. No other way around that. You got to make sure your trust is updated, because it is irrevocable at death. There's no two getting ways around that, which is one of the reasons on that beneficiary debate I was telling you about how some beneficiaries were robbed essentially of their their spouse's assets because they didn't update their estate plans. And it's pretty horrific, as a matter of fact. So, and just give it on top of that, if your old trust is from, was it, and when Bush was 2003, 675 was the estate tax. Anything above that was taxed at 55%. So if you had a trust drawn up in the Bush first term before that, it's very easy for you to disinherit your surviving spouse very, very easily. And the languaging of the trust needs to be adjusted to reflect what the current law is. Because back then, it wasn't hard to get $675,000 into a credit shelter trust where your surviving spouse doesn't have access to the principal. It only has access to a little bit. That's not necessarily what you want. I don't want to get too deep in that, but I'm just telling you right now, the languaging of pre-Bush estate planning exemption rates increases could be very, very problematic for a surviving spouse. A lot going on that. Now, secondly, you got a trust set up. All right. This is now the trust. It's empty underneath there. Nothing's there. That doesn't do any good. You have to have an asset underneath the trust. The trust has got to be funded with something. The trust has to own something. So if you're going to set up a living trust and you don't change the title to the living trust, the trust isn't worth the paper it's written on. It literally doesn't do anything. Your trust doesn't control anything other than what is titled in the trust. Can't say this enough. I can't tell you how many people say, "Oh, my trust is this." I said, "Okay, what do you have access in what do you have in the trust?" And crickets. You got to have something in the trust for the trust to control it. The trust doesn't control it at my death. No. The trust is completely silent on anything that's not in it. And it's just all there is to it. If the trust has no funding mechanism, nothing in there, it doesn't control anything. You got to have an asset in the trust. And so we have a lady down here, Amy Revocable, who's an attorney, estate planning attorney. I went to talk to her 6 months or something like that ago. And man, I loved it because I was talking to her. I said, "Hey, look, I get a lot of people ask about estate planning attorneys. And mine is Allison Bird, BYRD here locally. Allison's freaking fantastic. I love her to death. She went to another firm though. And so she had her own firm. She went to another firm, and I haven't spoken to her since she relocated to this firm. She's still in Georgia, but I've referred a bunch of people. Every single person loved Allison Bird. But my concern was when you go to a bigger firm, I don't know if she's still doing estate planning for just regular schmucks like me. I don't know. She's not. I just don't know. But anyway, so I was talking to Amy and I said, "Hey, how much does it cost to do everything?" And she told me a fee. Frank, I can't remember. Would hate to even say that. But she said this. I said, "Does that include?" And before I could even ask a question, she goes, "That includes retitling the assets, including real estate at probate court." I said, "Oh, that includes making sure all assets are retitled in the trust." I said, "Oh, do you know how many attorneys are out there who drop the trust for you, basically pulling off the shelf, giving this trust and say, 'See ya.' And you're like, 'Okay, I guess I'm good to go.'" No, you're not good to go. You paid $1,500 or $2,000 for this big, thick document that has nothing in it. Don't do that. It's nuts. And Amy Revocable, Refeca, and I literally haven't spoken to her in 6 months. So she might have gone off the deep end. I have no idea. But if you're looking for an attorney, I liked her a lot. I was very fond of Amy. I liked the fact she's saying, we are going to make sure our clients are from front to back, nuts to bolts, are squared away in their estate planning documents. Is it $500 that you can get a Walmart guy? No, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than that, but the fee was reasonable. I was very, very impressed. Very impressed. Now, they're irrevocable trusts, irrevocable, as the hoity-toity say. I call it irrevocable, but they call it irrevocable. Now, a revocable trust is different. You are literally making a gift to a trust that you no longer control. All right, it's literally a gift, and the IRS is very clear. A gift, arm's length. Once you make this gift, you no longer have any control. You can't do like a whispering campaign to control it. I mean, a lot of people do. I'm just telling you, IRS, they know what you're doing, man. So if you're making a gift to a trust, an irrevocable trust, I'm saying an irrevocable trust, and you are controlling it, you can look at tons of tax cases on this. I don't have it anymore, but if you're ever interested, if you're a budding financial planner, subscribe to Trust and Estates magazines. I'm telling you, you'll see tax scenario after scenario after scenario of the various litany of people who thought they're being too cute by half, thinking they're making this irrevocable gift or granting a significant portion of their estate to an irrevocable trust. and that way it's out of their estate, but they still control it. No, IRS is on that like white on rice. And so if you're making a gift either to little Johnny down the street and 5 acres of land, or you're making a gift to an irrevocable trust in order to get it out of your estate, well, doggone, you better not have any mechanism that can be proved that you control that. I'm telling you right now, if you do, it's going to come back in your estate and it'll be taxed accordingly. And I'm just telling you. So an irrevocable trust, someone else is going to be the trustee, someone else is going to manage it, someone else is going to manage it on behalf of what the instructions you said in the trust, but it really can't be to your benefit, or else it's not really a gift. So that's 2 different types of trust, a living trust and an irrevocable trust. I don't see a huge need for irrevocable trust in this day and age, not with the estate tax exemption so high. A lot of times people do that because they say, look, my estate is $6 million. I want to make sure, and this is back in the $3.5 million exemption, I want to make sure that $2.5 million bypasses estate tax, so I'll make a gift to it. All kinds of different mechanisms. We don't really need to do that much anymore. No one I'm going to talk to does, because nowadays the estate tax exemptions, I think $11.5 million, and then $11.5 for your spouse too, and it's portable, which means if Charlotte and I ever become rich on YouTube, we could transfer, was that $23 million completely estate tax free. And trust me, if I ever get $23 million, it ain't happening, man, because most of that money is going out the window to my man Skip Ritchie to go mission work in Zimbabwe, like I was talking about earlier today. So it's not happening. But in theory, if you have $23.5 million and more than that, then you might want to revisit an irrevocable trust. But no one here, I can't imagine, is going to be talking about that. Now, each state is different. New Jersey used to have a horrible estate tax. It's gone now. Like 2019, I think. Delaware, New York estate tax is still pretty bad. Pennsylvania has an inheritance tax. New Jersey still has an inheritance tax. Massachusetts estate tax is freaking nuts, man. We had a couple people in Massachusetts here. Last I saw, I haven't looked for 2019. I think Marie might have been from Massachusetts. If you have an estate over $1 million, it is subject to Massachusetts estate tax. All right. It is subject, and your estate is everything you own, not just your investments, not just your home. If you have life insurance, everything you own is subject to estate tax, not just but same with the feds. But the feds, we have this huge exemption that no one's going to be affected. But if you live in Massachusetts, there's a few other states. I've been meaning to do videos on those. I just keep forgetting. All right. In your taxable account, you suggest, yes. My man Rick says, Cindy stepped away. I just told you how the world works. Let's see here. I just saw that. Why, man? Okay. Someone said, wait, where is I just saw my man Rick said, and you're okay. I don't know where it went, man. Right here. In your taxable account, do you suggest ETF funds because they have little? Yeah, actually, yes, sir. I'm glad you brought that up, Rick. So my man, Fred, I think it was Fred, the Patriots fan, said on a tax efficient investing, like the earlier video I did today. Don't forget, ETFs are much, much more tax favorable than mutual funds. Absolutely. So that was a good point, Fred and Rick. Good job for asking that question. 100% buy an ETF in a taxable account, i.e. a brokerage account over a mutual fund, 100 times out of 100 without question. Okay, so Chris says, is there a difference between a beneficiary and putting her on the? Yeah. Oh. And I'm missing. Yeah. So Chris, the difference between a beneficiary is that person doesn't get it until you die. Person has no control over it until you die. And I'm telling you, I've heard this a million times. Well, who's your beneficiary? Or who's your durable power of attorney? My wife. I said, okay. Can I see the durable power of attorney? Well, she's a beneficiary. I said, the beneficiary isn't what I'm talking about. Being a beneficiary doesn't give you any access to access the account while you're alive. It doesn't do that. It only gives you access to the account at your death. So we don't want a benefit. We want beneficiaries. But a joint account owner actually has 100% unencumbered control of the account. All right, that's a fact. And the durable power of attorney that you make effective immediately also has 100% unencumbered control of the account, other than the fact that Vanguard, pain in the butt to deal with, all these big firms, because they're nervous about being sued, make it hard for a durable power of attorney. So if you have a good relationship with somebody and they're not going to steal from you, they're not going to sniff stuff up their nose, and you want to make them to as a joint account owner for ease of operations, and maybe I just be careful of the gifting. But if it's a spouse, it's no big deal. I'd have no qualm with that in the least. But that's different than a beneficiary. Beneficiary only kicks in at your death. All right. A joint owner can manage it while you're alive. Trustee controls it. Yeah, that's right, Thomas. So Thomas Major kicking in. Trustee controls the trust. Let me just elaborate on that real quick. It's probably boring to most of you guys. The most important person in a trust is not you, the grantor. It's the trustee. That is the person who controls everything. You do not name Uncle Bob, who's 92 years old, as your trustee, even though Uncle Bob might have been an attorney back in his heyday. Just don't do that, please. You got to name someone who is capable of doing it and will be capable of for years to come. Second most important is the successor trustee, who kicks in to manage the trust when Uncle Bob or the first trustee is dead. And that's the second most important person, who's successor trustee. Now, I tell you, another thing that people do all the time, I'll name co-trustees my 4 kids. So I got 4 kids, I'll name them 25% across the board. All right, well, what happens if they can't come up with an agreement? What if it's 2-2 split? Who wins? What does the trust say about that? Does the trust identify, there's a majority rule? Is it unanimous consent? What if it's 2-2? What if? So if you have 25% as co-trustees and one trustee is being a pain in the butt and just wants to be a hassle to everybody, and the other 3 say, come on, man, we're trying to get, sell mom's house and move on here, and you're being a pain. Well, what does your trust identify that? What happens then? I mean, literally, that's a lawsuit right there. And you're like, man, just make sure if you're doing co-trustees or successor trustees after you, if you're the initial trustee, that you identify what you want to happen if there is a non-unanimous meeting of minds. Does it have to be unanimous? I don't know if I'd want a unanimous 4-way. I don't know. I just don't know this. I mean, I don't know the answer. What if it's 2-2 split? If it's 3-1, that'd probably be acceptable for 3-1, but I don't know. That's the issue. But I may name my oldest as the trustee, and the oldest turns out to see things differently than the other 3 do. I don't know. In fact, let me see if right here. Right here, my friends. This is the book you should get. I'll put a link in the show notes. And if you buy it on Amazon, I get paid. I get 4% commission on a $19 book. So that's some serious money right here. But if you buy this book, this is the book you need to get for estate planning. I've said this a bunch of times. Beyond the Grave by Jerry Condon. It's 400 pages of, I tell you, it changed my perspective immensely when I first read the first edition, which I think was in 99, 2001, something like that. But Beyond the Grave by Gerald Condon. He's got a great website out there. He does a couple YouTube videos. I didn't like him. I didn't not like him. I didn't like the videos. They didn't do much for me. That is the estate planning book you should get. You'll be able to read this in a weekend. There's so many scenarios. Protecting the survivor parent from grasping children. When mom dies, I'll be too old to enjoy my inheritance. Who controls the money and property for the incapacitated or incompetent surviving spouse? You may not want a stranger to control your surviving spouse's money, but are your children a better choice? I'm telling you, man. And then he gives examples. It's nuts. His dad was the co-author of this, and his dad had a lot more experience, but he gives example after example. Does your wife want to manage the family money? My wife says she wants to die first, so she won't be left with the bookkeeping. Just so many different. It's fantastic. Let's see here. Including the titles on cars. The purpose of trust is you trust the lawyer now, the lawyer may be set to be trustee. All right, knows whomever. I'm single. Thanks, Marie. Right on. The real CB. Go Army. Right on, man. Real CB from Michigan. Go Army. I think the other CB is Army too, big guy. It could be, but necessarily I was a trustee for my dad's living in non-revocable trust. My father-in-law's house is an irrevocable. Okay. Yeah. So here's CB. My father-in-law's house is in an irrevocable trust. So he can't sell it. No, because he no longer has control of it for sure. So whoever the trustee in that regard, CB, would have to make the decision based on the rules of the trust. The trust document may say, don't do that. Can you discuss asset allocation? Ooh, man, okay. Okay. Message retracted. Okay. Have you heard of your age and bonds? Usually a decent starting point, my friend. Warren Buffett says not to own fixed income. Buffett says put 90%. PA, okay. Being self-employed and low income, converting into Roth ruins the Obama. Yeah, that's so here's Vic says being self-employed and low income, converting Roth IRAs ruins the Obamacare subsidy. In fact, I had a guy, who was it? Someone emailed me today. Man, he talked about MAGI, modified adjusted gross income. I forgot who that was, and you know who you are. I forgot. But anyway, he said modified adjusted gross income. When it comes to Roth conversions, don't affect your modified adjusted gross income in terms of your ability to make more Roth conversions, but it does affect your Medicare premiums. It just, and only leave it up to our tax law to have modified adjusted gross income affect one thing and modified adjusted gross income not affect the other thing. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, so my man Vic says he's self-employed, low income, converting Roth IRAs ruins the Obamacare subsidy. Yeah, we are. Two couple of healthcare silver plan, $1,000 a month. That's so much. Vic, so much for affordable care. Don't get me started. Corey, yes, I do recommend umbrella coverage. And financial planning 101, guys, we'd recommend you want liability coverage, in this case, umbrella coverage to the extent of your net worth. All right. So if your net worth is $2 million, then we'd want you to have a umbrella coverage for $2 million. Now, what happens is I wish, man, I should have brought my little chart thing, but your auto, your property and homeowners, your home insurance and your property and casualty, you got to max out those first. So let's say you got a net worth of $2 million, $500,000 is your liabilities on your property and casualty, if that makes sense. And so your umbrella shields you above that. Does that make sense? So basically, you got $2 million net worth, of which your umbrella in that case is a $1.5 million, and $500,000 comes from your property and casualty, homeowners, or your auto insurance. So what will happen is you call USA or whoever, State Farm, you say, hey, I got 25, 50, 100 on my liabilities of my car insurance. They're going to say, we're not going to give you an umbrella. We're going to raise your P&C account money, your premium, your policy first, and then we'll give you an umbrella. It's confusing, I get it, but that's important to understand. So now a lot of people say, but my net worth includes my home and includes my IRA 401k, so it's not really any liabilities. I 100% agree with that. 100%. Generally speaking, financial planning 101, to make it simple, is you should have an umbrella or liability coverage to the extent of your net worth. If you want to subtract out your home because it can't be attacked, or your IRA because it can't be attacked, look, I got no power. There's no problem with that at all. None. With that said, umbrellas, man, are so flipping cheap. And I'll tell you, one of the benefits at USA, and I don't know other firms, I imagine they do the same. It's been a while. So I haven't worked there this is going on 2 years now, so they might not do this anymore. But one of the benefits was on their umbrella policies, they would give you an attorney if you were ever to be sued, because USA does not want to pay out the claim. And so they're going to fight for you tooth and nail because they don't want to pay it out. And so they'll have legal representation if some kid falls on a banana peel in my front yard while trick-or-treating and he wants to sue me. They're not suing me, they're suing the insurance company. USA will assign an attorney, and my understanding was free of charge because as part of my policy, which is a pretty big deal. I think it's a wonderful reason to have an umbrella. Again, will that happen today? I don't know. When you're looking at your firm, say, hey, does this come with representation if we get sued by some crazy kid? I mean, maybe. So I'm a huge fan of umbrellas without question. So Marie's in PA. Well, you got to watch your inheritance tax for sure. Have you ever tried day trading, Josh? I wouldn't say day trading, my man, but when I was at Schwab back in 99 and 2000 during the great run up and great run down, I was trading options like a crazy man. We call them the triple Qs, and I was writing covered calls, just covered calls. Wasn't doing any naked puts, naked options, nothing like that, just covered calls. And I got hammered, no other way around that. And I don't like gambling. I will tell you, I said, this is essentially, I'm betting on the direction of the market, and I can't. And it pained me. And I should have learned, because I used to manage a bar. A couple of my buddies, we went to Las Vegas, Denver for the Great American Beer Festival, because we managed this brew pub in Arlington, Virginia. I worked there and managed it. I worked there for 4 years, something like that. But anyway, and we had tons of beers on tap, tons of beers, from IPAs to porter, Hefeweizens. We had the one, I forgot, the 21%, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, it was, oh man, if you like drinking beer, which this guy does, it was awesome. Anyway, so they had the Great American Beer Festival in Denver every year. And this is back when, the microbreweries were just starting to kick in. And nowadays it's all hipster stuff. But back then it wasn't as much as it is today. And I love the fact that microbreweries are kicking. I think it's awesome. But we go there, and then I'll never forget, we went one time during the college playoffs. And so we went to Las Vegas, right? Or did we go to Vegas? Maybe it was in Vegas this year. I remember we're in Vegas for some reason. I forget. Anyway, we're in Vegas. I just remember that. I could have sworn it was the time we went to the Great American Beer Festival. That was in Denver. Now, I don't remember. We just went to Vegas. A bunch of us went to Vegas to gamble. And I was watching, so maybe it had nothing to do with the Great American Beer Festival. But it was all the guys I used to run with. But anyway, long story short. And so Kansas was playing Virginia in the NCAA, and I laid $80 down on Virginia because they're from the ACC, and Kansas was wherever Kansas is from. No-name conference. Virginia's going to, win this going away. I'll never forget. I laid $80 down on that, and Kansas beat them. And, man, watching that $80 it being taken away from me, it was, painful. And that's probably one of the best things that ever happened. So when I started doing my day trading on the Qs, on trading options on the Qs, writing covered calls and doing various things, when I got hammered, again, it pained me because the money I had, that was my money, was now gone. And I just said, I'm not doing that again. So I don't do day trading. And I got an addictive personality. There's no other way around that. We're Irish, Irish Catholics. It's just in the nature of the beast, man. When you're Irish and it's in your genes, you tend to be very volatile, and you tend to be have addictive personalities, and that's me. And so day trading, it sounds exciting, but I know I'd get addicted to it. I know I'd make mistakes for sure, and so I can't be messing with that stuff. I know that for a fact. My only addiction now is coffee and YouTube. Nuts. Have you ever? Okay. So is there another financial planner you can recommend since you're going on hiatus? I was a big fan of XY Planning Network. And I say was. I'm still sure there's a bunch of folks in there who I like a lot. I know one up, my man Jack up in Northern Virginia, I'm a big fan of. There's guys in there that I like, and ladies. I can't recommend XY Plan. It bothers me actually to say this because they are now a political organization. And I almost did a video on this because it really, really bothered me, actually. It really bothered me when the Financial Planning Association, the XY Planning Network, NAPFA, all these groups are becoming political. And there's an old law, O'Sullivan's Law. If you ever followed National Review from the old days, there's a guy named John O'Sullivan. I think it was the first, I don't know what he was, but he was a big prominent. He might have been the publisher. He said, any organization that isn't consistently conservative becomes liberal over time. And I don't want to get involved in politics here, but the issue is that the status of big government becomes more and more prevalent in organizations all the time. And especially in America, when there's so much tax revenue to be had by lobbying groups that are vying for to be looked at favorably by our overlords in DC. And so the financial planning community has bought into whatever the government's pushing, hook, line, and sinker. And so long story short, there's an article in the Journal for Financial Planning. Now, yeah, it was the Journal for Financial Planning. Front and center, this lady had written on critical race theory and why financial planners need to embrace critical race theory. And I was pissed. I'm not going to lie to you. If you know anything about Marxist ideology, I couldn't believe it. I literally could not. I mean, would you write about eugenics? Would you write about Margaret Sanger? Would you write about, just all the evil ideologies of the past? And that was on the front page of the Journal for Financial Planning. I was stunned. In Catholicism, there's something called liberation theology, which is Marxist tied up in the love of Jesus. But it's not the love of Jesus. It's the love of big government dictating for you how to live your life. And XY, and so long story short, I said I couldn't believe this. So I on a Facebook page, XY Plan Network, I said, this is nuts. There's no reason anyone in the financial planning community should be taking sides on politics like this. I mean, you can be right wing. I could care less about your own, but to promote critical race theory, Marxist ideology is just insane. It's just insane. And essentially, they hammered me on that post. I couldn't believe it. They said, this is a safe space. I said, what about the safe space for the people who've been destroyed by Marxists throughout history? How come that's not a safe space? Why don't these people, the Vietnamese, the Cambodians, never mind, the list goes on and on. I mean, my God. And I just sit there and think, why? It's nuts. And I'll never forget the guy from XYPN. He didn't ban me, but essentially banned me. And I said, I can't be part of a group that is okay with critical race theory and Marxist ideology as part of a safe space. It's nuts. And anyway, why do I say that? Because it really, really offended me. I'm still offended by that. And so I can't refer people to XY Planning Network. And I can't refer them to NAPFA because they're doing the same doggone thing. Now, Garrett Financial Planning Network, yes, they're hourly. I just think you got to know. I think you got to take charge. I do. I don't know how else to say it, Rich. I don't know how to say it. I think you got to take charge, man. A lot of these guys will pass a CFP. They have no experience, or they're supposed to have 3 years. And they'll come across as like they know so much, and they have. I think you got to take. How can I say this? A lot of these guys don't know any more than you can know, literally by just reading a couple books. I mean, if you were to read Beyond the Grave, if you were to read, I'll just throw this one, my reverse mortgages book. I mean, if you're just I got books. It's just here's my man Devin Carroll right here. If you read these books, just tons of books. Just read this stuff. You'll know more than the vast majority of financial planners out there. If you want to know Richard Feynman, I still got to read this book. That has nothing really to do with financial planning, but has to do with make you thinking. Models behaving badly, right there. Just tons of stuff. This is just what I have. That I have to read. My anti-library. So, Rich, you got to take care of yourself, man. I don't know how else to say that. And Devin Carroll from Social Security, if you watch his stuff, you'll know more on Social Security than anyone else. Watch my stuff on tax planning. You're going to know more than anyone else. Who's a good investment guy? There's tons of good investment guys out there. At that stage, I just do the Vanguard stuff, be done with it. But I mean, it's really what you really need is a good tax person, if anything. All right. I don't mind Edward Jones. CB says, do not send friends to Ed Jones. Look, man, we all got bad experiences. I don't mind Ed Jones. I don't. I think you're not getting financial planning from these guys. But if I had to find a financial advisor and I wanted someone to run my money, I'd go to Ed Jones. I pay 2.5% upfront commission for American funds. I do that 90 times out of 100. I got no problem with that. And on top of that, Ed Jones, they're gonna have their bonds they can sell you, their brokered CDs they can sell you, individual stocks. Don't do structured products, folks. If you're going to a broker, anytime they call you, I got this 1 year structured product, I'm telling you, stay away from it. I'm not going to talk what it is here. Just if it's structured product, don't buy it. I'm just telling you right now. Those products are there to separate you from your money to make the brokerage firms rich. Just don't do it. But Ed Jones, they got American funds. You have access to it with A shares. The fees are incredibly, incredibly low. 45 basis points on the Income Fund of America. You pay it, like I said, depending on how much you put in there, 2.5% upfront commission. You never have to talk to your guy again and just be done with it. It's gonna be tough to beat that portfolio. It really will. Having a guy or a lady call you on a regular basis saying, "Hey, we're bringing this bond to market. Would you want, at par value this? I don't know. We're bringing a University of Virginia healthcare bond to market. Would you want access to it?" And that's some value there for sure. Let's see, DIY financial planning, the grim laughable. Let's see. Can you qualify for Medicaid with low income with 100K Roth? I don't know, man. My inclination on Medicaid, Jerry, is that they don't look at retirement accounts They look at your home and your assets, but I don't think your retirement accounts is. But don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. I homebrew the best Hefeweizen in Michigan. Oh man. Oh man. CB, you are. I don't care what they say, my friend. Barley wine. That's what it was. Yes. Man, you are a good man, CB. I don't care what they say. Barley wine. We had one, man. We had this guy come to the bar, and we would only sell in pints. We couldn't sell in pitchers because it's so heavy. This guy would come and he would drink a lot of barley wine. He'd say, "Can I just buy it?" Because we'd sell the pint by, I think it's $1.50. You got there before 6, and after 6 it was like $5.50 or something like that for any pint of homebrewed beer. And we had like 10, 15 different homebrews. It was awesome. It was good beer, man. It was good. And long story short, with our barley wine, I forgot what we called it. It was White Lightning. That's what it's called. And this guy come in, and so if you bought it by the pitcher, it's like $10. If you bought it by the pint, it's like $5.50 a pint. And there's 4 pints in a pitcher or something like that. And so we had to sell it. And it wasn't because we're trying to rob people. It's just it was a highfalutin beer. And so we'd say, "Man, I'm buying so much. Just sell me by the pitcher." And finally, we said, "All right." He was a good guy. Man, drunker than the day is long, though. He was a good guy. He never he was a big Marxist. I'll never forget that. He was always singing the praises of Cuba. A nice guy. Just I was like, dude, I don't get it, man. If you're so keen on Cuba, I'm not sure why you're not there. But it's all, it's whatever. I just don't ever wear a Che Guevara shirt. For the love of me, don't ever wear a Che Guevara shirt. But yeah, man. So Hefeweizen. I never liked Hefeweizen much. I've always liked IPAs. Oh, drink an IPA like you would believe. I will tell you, folks, this is not through financial planning. The only time I missed beer, 2 times, a good pint of Guinness. Man, I could drink the heck out of Guinness. I mean, I could drink a pint of. I saw an advertisement the other day, and look, I'll be happy to admit I'm a friend of Bill W. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And I haven't drank since May 25th, 1997. But I'm still, I'm telling you, I haven't beat it by a stretch of the imagination. As any addict will tell you, you're just one step away from falling back in that abyss. And I was never freaking under the bridge with, my pants down around my ankles, begging for a hit of heroin or anything like that. I'd never liked that. I just drank too much. And anytime I had gotten in trouble, there's always one constant variable, which was alcohol. And I never drank hard alcohol. It's always beer. I just love beer. I mean, that's all there is to it. And I still do, but I know I can't drink it. But I did see an ad the other day about Guinness. They're apologizing for showing their Irish pride, and they said that's colonial. I said, come on, people. And they had 6 pints of dark Guinness lined up. I said, oh, that looks good. I mean, look, I'm not kidding. It doesn't. I don't sit there like I need it. It's not like that. But man, that did look good. So I do miss some Guinness. Or if I'm eating crabs. Man, we used to kill some crabs when I lived in Maryland. Oh, man, I used to work in this crab factory right on Thayer Ave or was it George Ave? No, I can't remember. In Maryland. Oh, man, so the crabs we didn't sell, man, we'd be able to take those home. And I just lived right across the way. And we'd go to my house. We'd be freaking, oh, man, you get those crabs. You'd be eating them and drinking. It was like, man, it was awesome. Awesome. The summertime, eating crabs, everyone just hanging out, eating crabs, drinking beers. When I was in the Army, when it got warm up in upstate New York, we'd be eating crabs, drinking beers, eating crabs, drinking beers. Ooh, that was good stuff. But that's it. The only time I miss drinking beer is when I see that dark pint of Guinness. I said, oh, that does look tasty. And then and think about eating crabs and drinking beers, eating crabs, drinking beers, putting some music, and man, good times. But it's all good. After watching your vids, it shows best to wait till 70 to take Social Security. Is that really realistic? Does get more funds? Is it worth the risk? I mean, so my man Vic says, Jeff Guinness is the best. Oh man, is it worth it? All right, is it realistic? My man Vic asks, is it realistic to delay taking Social Security? I mean, if you die early, no. Some guy maybe it's you posted on my YouTube, and I told him, I said, man, he said, doesn't it hurt more if you die without taking much Social Security? And the answer is no, it doesn't hurt more because you're dead. You don't know. So Vic, I'd say the number one contingency. I went to high school, Blair High School, Thomas, in Silver Spring. That's where I went, man. That was back before Blair. They opened up a new school now in Seven Corners, but that's where I went to high school. Anyway, so Vic, back to your question. The issue is my nose itches. I'm not doing anything like that, just my nose itch. But back All right. So here's the thing. If you're married, I'm just telling you right now, it's actually funny. My daughter was asking me about this today when I was driving back to Georgia Tech. So kudos to her for thinking about Social Security. If you're married and your income is higher than your spouse's, and there's a good chance your spouse is going to survive you, I think you have an obligation to not take Social Security early simply because you want to leave that benefit to her as well. So going back to my case, my income was substantially higher than my wife's because she sacrificed her career to raise the 4 little tax credits that we have. And so because that, her Social Security is not much, and my Social Security is not quite the max, but pretty high. I mean, that's just a fact. And so what's going to happen is at my death, she will get the greater of hers or mine. Well, it's going to be mine significantly unless things change drastically between now and when we file. I don't want her to get hers. I want her to get mine. And so in fact, I'm a man, I'm 4 years older. They're certainly going to die before her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delay till I'm 70 in order to leave that as somewhat of a life insurance component. So my wife, instead of getting $2,500 a month, will get $3,300 a month for the rest of her life, which would be significantly higher than mine, most likely, or significantly longer than mine. And so if you're married, I think you have an obligation to think what happens to your surviving spouse. If you're not married, man, look, I got no qualm with taking it early, other than I'm telling you, man, you're getting 8% a year benefit for waiting. It's just, you can't, plus the cost of living adjustments at 2.6. So, I mean, every year is growing at 10.6% a year. Now, the 8% is not compounded. The cost of living adjustments is. So you can't say it's, 10% compounding. It's not, but it is, the 2.6 is. But I mean, that's still a pretty smoking deal, man. Yeah, the way I look at it is just you got to delay as much as you can. If you're single and you don't have any money and pot to pee in, take it. Hell, I don't have no problem with that. But I think it's better to delay for sure. There's no better rate of return than Social Security guaranteed. On top of that, the tax favorability of Social Security is through the roof relative to IRA distributions. And on top of that, if you take Social Security early and IRA distributions later, you're paying higher taxes on the IRA distributions because you have more money in which to take out, which you're going to pay ordinary income tax. And now you're paying more tax on Social Security. And I do these videos on state-by-state taxes, and I show you the difference in taxation of someone who's got $40,000 of Social Security and $20,000 of IRA versus the other. Someone has $20,000 of Social Security and $40,000 of IRA has $3,000 of taxes just to the feds alone, and whatever your state is, it'd be different there. Someone has $40,000 of Social Security and $20,000 of IRA has no tax to the feds, none whatsoever, because of provisional income. And so that's $3,000 that person's out for that year and every single year after that because they did not wait taking Social Security. And if you live in a state like Massachusetts, you add another $1,500 on top of that. It's nuts. Southern Maryland, I 10% invest for 80 years at 12% equals 100 million. 10K invested. Yeah. If you get it 12%, man, that's not too shabby. Yeah, Maryland's nice. I like Maryland. I could never live there. I mean, I own firearms and I will never give them up, so I could never live in Maryland again. My man Sailor says he never smokes or dope either. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you, I think it all should be legalized. Let people do what they got to do and be done with it. But that's that used to be a pretty radical opinion, actually, which is back in the old days of National Review. National Review used to be a big, and I think they still are, on drug prohibition not working so well. So Investment Company of America, there you go, right on. Yeah, ICA. So my man Sailor talks about the ICA, 10,000 invested. Yeah, that's right. So we did that. Video on that the other day, Sailor. About the Investment Company of America, just the insanity of the growth reinvested dividends. It was flipping awesome. And it's a plain vanilla mutual fund as you can possibly get. The most plain vanilla mutual fund. And yet that puppy just grew and grew and grows and grows and grows. 3-star, nothing fancy about it. It just does what it's supposed to do, which is give you growth. And it's done it. Now we'll continue. I have no idea. No idea. What else, guys? So that's that chart right on, man. Absolutely. Little time check here. All right, so 9:46. Oh yeah, it's been over an hour. All right, so still got 60 people on. That's cool. Hey, stopping like my man. Hey, if you're interested in YouTube stuff, watch my man Miles Beckler. I'm telling you, man, milesbeckler.com. And if you're interested in starting side hustles, that guy's he's been a huge benefit to me. Miles Beckler, he doesn't talk investment stuff, but he's a wonderful guy who talks about how to get your YouTube channel. So like my lady, Project Ripcord, Kim Wack. Did y'all watch her or listen to the interview I did? And she's on Project Ripcord. And I said, man, start, and she do whatever she wants to do. But I interviewed her the other day, and here's a lady trying to do a side hustle. She's got a bunch of stuff going on. She did Chapped Ass Cycling, which is a product she brought to market. It's in her brain, and now she's selling it. I don't do any bicycling. I probably ride down the street and kill myself. But she does cycling, and I guess you got to wipe cream on your butt, or else your butt cheeks get chapped. Because you're sitting on that freaking thing. But anyway, so she developed this thing, chamois. Monty from Texas, right on. A chamois, some kind of chamois cream that you wipe down there, and I guess relieves any kind of pain. And so anyway, Beckler, Beckler, Miles Beckler, the best guy on YouTube by far on how to get your YouTube stuff squared away, and just basic sales landing pages for the internet. Tom is just, man, such a good guy. And so anyway, so here's the lady, Kim, and she also has a YouTube channel called Project Ripcord, which is great. It's about RV living, and there's tons of RV living things out there, but she might have a little bit of a different perspective, and she has, renting a tiny house. She's making a little bit of income from that. I said, I bet people would be interested in hearing more about that. And so what you got to do, what I was telling her, is go to Miles Beckler, because he'll tell you all the ins and outs you need to know about YouTube. I'm telling you, you don't pay any $2,000 fee, nothing like that. And Miles, what I like about him, he's kind of like me. He'll tear up the industry in terms of all these guys out there saying, buy my course for $2,000. Miles, man, he doesn't suffer fools for that. He's like, no. I've given you everything I got on here. And his wife does some kind of meditation angel. I don't know what it is. Meditation thing. And they've done that successfully. So Monty says he needs a new clock. The facts are this guy has done it. He's walked the walk, and he talks the talk. And I love Miles Beckler. I cannot recommend him enough. So if you're looking into getting into some kind of side hustle via YouTube, blogging, podcasting, start with that guy right there. Secondly, Anchor.fm. This is what I was telling somebody. Anchor.fm. If you want to do a podcast, just go on Anchor. Literally, you plug the stupid thing in, you sign up, you plug your stupid mic in there. You don't even need a mic. You start talking, you hit record, you start talking, and you're done. It's freaking awesome. And then they send it to all the iTunes, the Stitcher, to whatever else is out there. It's all free. And you actually, I made $1 on it yesterday, which is pretty cool. $1's not much, but that's $1 I didn't have before. And I'm sure I'm not going to make much money on that, but it's, there's ways to get your word out there. So let's say I'm a man sailor high performance and I do day trading. I'm just saying that. And you got an opportunity that you think people need to hear. Well, get out there and just, I'm not picking on you, my man, but just start going on YouTube. It's free. Go on Anchor.fm. You don't need anything else to set up a podcast. You don't even need this. You don't even need that. This is a Chromebook. It's all free. Just start yapping. And, obviously, if you don't have something to say, no one's going to listen to you. And, people are listening to me, which is pretty cool. I don't know why, but apparently you like what I talk about. And, some people say you talk too much. I get that. It's just who I am. You don't have to. It's a wonderful thing about being free. Anyway, but go out there. Start something. So you got YouTube. You got a podcast. Frankly, I said real quick, I don't think blogging is the way to go anymore. I'm telling you right now, if you start saying I'm going to blog, I'm telling you right now, none of my blog posts ever compete against Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity. And the reason is because those things have such big domain authority and page authority that old Josh at Heritage Wealth Planning, I'll never have what's called backlinks where people reading my stuff and link it. Never. I'm just telling you right now, if you're just some dude in your little office here on a 9:30 on a Wednesday night, and you're like, man, I want to get out there and and make some hay. Blogging isn't the way to do that. YouTube is, and podcasting maybe, but YouTube is first and foremost because the ground is still ripe for newcomers. But blogging, you don't have the page authority. You never will have it anytime soon. I'm just telling you right now. So you can blog all day long about Roth IRAs. You will get dwarfed by all these other guys out there. It's not going to happen. Don't blog. Do podcasting. If you don't want to be in front of TV or whatever, podcasting, just yap and do videos. And then you can do videos a bunch of guys do videos. You don't even see their face. They just do them where they're doing screenshots or screen share without showing their face. And that's fine. I get the guy I follow. Yoli Lacey says, I'm good Irishman chatting in Guinness. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's a guy I follow on YouTube, my climate change expert, and he doesn't do any. I don't know what that dude looks like. I could literally be sitting here watching him drink a pint of Guinness right now, and I say, I don't know that's that guy. I have no idea, but his stuff is awesome. So if you don't want to get on front of the camera, don't feel like you're obligated to. Just start doing something. I interviewed this lady, Jessica Stansbury. I'm a big fan of her too, by the way. So Jessica Stansbury, Stansberry. She's on YouTube. And I did interview her a while ago, and she has another different kind of tact on YouTube stuff than my man Miles does, more from a woman's perspective. But men can still get a lot out of that. And one of the things I asked is, how come there's not more ladies on YouTube? Because it really annoys me that there's not that much more women talking on YouTube about investing and financial planning. And look, I'm the furthest thing from, we need more women and all that. Look, people are individuals. You want to be on YouTube doing, I could care less. I don't care. Do what you got to do. But it's still, I said, man, I wish we had more women on there. And she goes, women don't want to do it as much because they feel like they got to get made up and stuff. And it's funny she said that because my wife has said something along those lines too. She doesn't like to be on. She won't let me interview her, for instance, because she doesn't like the way she looks. And Jessica said the same thing. She goes, she was a little bit heavier and stuff, and she felt very uncomfortable, very self-conscious as a woman. And I said, that sucks, man. And then she goes, but then I did it. And I said, I don't care. And she did it. And I actually, but that was an interesting perspective. I had never thought about it like that as a guy. I literally don't care. But as a woman, that could be a different perspective. So if that's you and you're a lady, you're like, I don't know if I feel comfortable getting on the camera. You don't have to. Do a podcast. I'm telling you, but don't blog. Start with a podcast. Start with being on camera like Kim Wack is. And with Kim, she goes, I felt real uncomfortable doing it, but now it's like second nature. I'm telling you, it is. Do it. Okay, so I think Thomas says, when you first start, are you limited? I think you are, Thomas. I think it's only 15 minutes. I think that's right. So the question is, when you first start limited, Jeff says, bring on Charlotte and the tax credits for an interview. If I can get her on there, maybe one of these days I'll trick her. Oh no, she'll kick my ass. I'm telling you. Woo! She got 8 brothers and sisters, my friends, and let's just put it this way. Oh, she doesn't suffer fools at all. And if I trick her like that, I'll have to get very specific. Say, hey, the audience is calling out for you. I really need you to do this, and she'll say, yeah, it's too bad, but we'll see one of these days, Jeff. Maybe. I understand screen sharing, but there's something about what you do, sharing the screen with you. Yeah, no, I agree. My man Corey, who's got his own YouTube channel, The Grim Perspective, something about sharing the screen and I completely agree with that. I like my man Dustin Tibbetts from Jazz Wealth. I like seeing him. Absolutely. I don't know why. It's weird, but there's something about that. Thomas, when you first start your YouTube channel, are you limited how long your videos can be? I think that's right. I think you're limited to 15 minutes. And it seemed like there's something else. You can't have you can't be youtube.com/heritage wealth planning until you get 100 subscribers. So keep that in the back of your mind. Until you get 100 subscribers, you can't be youtube.com, the Grim Perspective. You got to have, I think it's 100. You can't make money on YouTube till you have 1,000 subscribers and you have 4,000 hours within the last 6 months. The subscribers are much harder to get than the watch time. Don't do a 3-minute video. Look, some people say my videos, I get that. I mean, without question, they are. But those 3-minute video days are gone. Don't do that anymore. YouTube doesn't like that. YouTube wants people to stay on so they can sell more ads. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, don't do a 3-minute video. Try to make your videos say 8 to 12 minutes if you can. If you can do that, that's a sweet spot. My videos are too long for YouTube. I mean, they like mine better than the shorter ones, but they like 8 to 12 minutes for sure. They do like live streaming. YouTube is competing with Facebook like crazy for live streaming. So if you're going to do it, do something. That's why I'm doing this. I'm going to do it once a week just because I know YouTube likes it. And if YouTube likes it, they'll send me to other people to watch my videos. I know that for a fact. And so because of that, I'm going to do live stream. And frankly, I like talk. I guess I like hearing my voice. But it's fun to get to know you guys too. I actually find it to be actually fascinating that, a year ago today, we had no clue of each other, and now we're knowing each other. And I find it to be, it's freaking awesome, man. I love it. Even my liberal friends like Tom Kopp out there, he's a big lib, and he's a good guy. There's another one out there too. Sean Mann was banging on the Trumpster the other day, and I said, I'm not doing a financial planning for clients anymore. And he said, was it because I said something about Trump? I said, I don't care. But it's funny. I'm sure Sean, I don't know if he's a lib, but there's some guys out there. I had one guy on here who just unsubscribed me because he didn't like my thing on climate change, and that did not shock me, but that was too bad. But people got to do what they got to do. Anyway, so you got to have 1,000 subscribers. You got 4,000 hours of watch time within the last 6 months. It's not that hard to get if you just do it consistently. And one thing I learned from Miles Beckler, he did a thing called the 90-day challenge. And because what's going to happen, and there's a guy I follow on podcast called the Survival Podcast, Jack Spirko and the Survival Podcast. And it's not about zombies. It's just about being prepared for when the lights go out, making sure you can grow your own food and things like that nature. And it's a wonderful podcast. But he always said, just start something. And he always said, and Jack, he's just the guy's a machine when it comes to podcasting. He always says, no one's going to hear anything you say for the first basically 2 months. And I cannot stress that enough. You're going to do a podcast, you're going to do a YouTube channel, and no one's going to listen to you. I'm telling you, I'll never forget the first subscriber. I wish I knew who it was. I didn't even put my subscriber numbers on there because I didn't have any. And I got one subscriber probably 2.5 weeks in, and it wasn't my wife. Let's put it that way. And I'll never forget that. It was like, it was cool. And I think it took another month before I got another couple. And then I got one comment problem. So I probably had 4 subscribers, like one comment within the first month. And but I remember Miles Beckler saying, and Jack Spirko saying, no one is going to hear you. Just keep doing it. And so Miles Beckler has this 90-day challenge. He goes, do a video or a podcast or a blog post once a day, every day for 90 days. And not because you're, going to wow the world, but you're exercising that muscle. And you'll find that you'll get better at it, but you'll find that it becomes part of your routine. And I tell you, it changed my life. I'll tell you that right now. So I started doing this, and I do them all the time. As you can see, I do 4 probably now a day. It's nuts. But I love it. And so what Miles was saying is you're either going to learn to love it or learn to hate it. But if you do learn to love it, you'll become such a part of your routine that you'll do more and more and more. And then you'll start building the audience, and you'll start building the fan base, and then you can start making money on it. And I completely agree with that. But you have to do something you're interested in. I mean, if you don't like soccer and you're doing a YouTube channel on soccer, look, I know Pele and what's that guy, Ronaldo? I mean, is it Cristiano Ronaldo, something like that? That's all I know. And then you got Marc Messier, and he's a hockey player, but some guy named Messier from France or some Argentina. That's it. I don't know anything about soccer. So if I was going to do a YouTube channel on soccer, it would not last long because I just don't know anything about it. I frankly don't care. But I love financial planning. So anyway, for you all who are interested in that, I'm just telling you, man, just start with something that you find interesting. Going back to, I did this interview with this lady. Oh, who's this? Thomas Kuhn. So he does structure scientific revolutions. And, if you're interested in science, or if you're interested in physics, and you got Richard Feynman here, and I mean, whatever it is, if you're interested in something, you'll do it, and you'll do it consistently simply because you enjoy it. And it's wonderful. And there's an audience out there for you. And YouTube has not grown too big that there's not more room for people. I'm telling you right now, I just started less than a year ago. And now, almost 12,000 people have hit that little button at some point saying they like what I do. Oh, by the way, let's all take a second here and smash the like button, if you will. I'm getting that from Graham Steppen. I thought that was pretty funny. Smash the like button. So if you would, just take a second, smash it. Gone on late. Can you recap my right software offer? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer $150 for the software. And I'll give you the link once you email me at josh@heritagewealthplanning.com, and I'll give you the link for it. And just need your first name if you're married and what state you live, and then obviously your email, and I'll send it to you. And then you can go crazy on it. Now, the I guess at the end of the day, at some point, we might revisit this where I say, hey, if you got on the software before and you want me to review it with you to go over a financial plan, I mean, I might charge $500 or something like that at some point. I don't know. But that would be the idea in the future, that maybe sometime in the future, we can always revisit that if the time serves or the situation dictates. that would be something I want to get back into, doing individual one-on-one financial consulting. But I can't guarantee you that, and I can't guarantee you like the software. I just can't, and I can't. I don't know. Now, what I will do is I will do videos, some maybe live, probably not live. Actually, I think it'd be tough for me to do this live when I'm showing the software how to walk it through. But I will do videos on how to walk through the software, part A to part B to part C. That way, y'all can get a gauge on how that gets done. And I think you'll like that, actually. But it'll be $150. And then, and I can't guarantee I'll even keep Right Capital. I mean, literally, I like Right Capital. I have no anticipation whatsoever of leaving it. My man, Jeff Rains, who himself is a software engineer, says Right Capital is good. That's good enough for me. I love it, man. And I'm very comfortable with offering that, but I can't guarantee you that I'll use it forever. Larry Kotlikoff has his Maximize Your Social Security. I forgot what the software program he uses, and that's consumption smoothing. And one of these days I'm going to get back on there and see if I like that. I didn't like that prep before last year around this time when I was looking at both, because Right Capital had this tax stuff I like, but I did like Kotlikoff stuff quite a bit. At that stage, Right Capital is better for me, for sure. And I won't give up Right Capital and go to Kotlikoff stuff, but I might at one point just see what it looks like from a different perspective. If it turns out that Right Capital is slacking, then I'd leave them without question. But I'm a fan. No other way around that. As we sit here today, I'm a huge fan. I'm a believer. So, all right, my friends, I am up against it. It's 10:03. Much obliged to y'all. I appreciate you being here. I just real quick, it's awesome. I cannot tell you how grateful that you guys are sitting here watching this guy in my Georgia Tech shirt with my little subscribe pillow behind me, my vacuum cleaner on the other side, yapping. It's friggin' awesome. And I'm blessed. There's no other way around that. And you just joined. I'm just getting off, brother. It's good. We're going to do this once a week. And hopefully it won't be so much rambling on my part, but whatever. Come on board, and questions always welcome for sure. And like I said, once a week, I'll probably do one on maybe on a Saturday, just to see if that gets what kind of audience shows up on Saturday. Probably after basketball. So I think basketball for my boys is in 2 weeks. I might try a Saturday afternoon, late afternoon one time or something like that. But we'll do something here. And maybe I'll take no, I've already done a poll. We'll see what we do. But anyway, at the end of the day, I'm going to try doing these once a week, because I enjoy it. I hate to say it. I do. And but it's fun. If y'all have questions, let me know. See you guys. Thanks now. Now I got to stop this thing. How do I do that? There we go.